Howdys and salutations, y'all! How have y'all been? Let me get this situated, set up properly. So sorry about the wait. Let's see if this works real quick. Cool, okay. Sorry about the missing yesterday's stream and the delays and all that. I really wanted to do it. I wanted to do Sunday stream so much. But, unfortunately, my house is full of paint fumes. Or at least it was yesterday. So that rather limits my ability to stream when it's like that. But it's mostly aired out now, so we should be good to go going forward. But, yeah, it was like, we could have a stream, but I might pass out halfway through. I don't think that would be very good content. It's probably against terms of service to die on stream. Because that would be the biggest problem with that. But yeah, no, we're going to keep on keeping on. Wish we could have kept the energy going from that raid last time. That was a lot of fun. I'm definitely going to have to keep up with that crew. Great to have people checking in. Always fun to share the art and see what other people are doing. But in the meantime, let's see where we left off with Olivine. On previous character designs here. And wow, is it May 15th already? Holy cow. Stinking. Time really flies when you're super busy, doesn't it? Except in college. In college you're super busy and time still crawls. Don't know why. I assume not everyone had the same college experience, though, to be fair. For me, it did. Your mileage may vary. We'll just say that. Okay, where we left off, looking at our layers here, we had spent little time on poses, little time on a sketch, actually a lot of time on a sketch, more time on a different sketch, and a lot of time on shading. So what's our actual hour count looking at on this one? We've got to be close to our 4 max at this point. Then we can try some speedruns, maybe. I don't have any character concepts designed, so speedruns would really be just like random chaos. I guess we could throw ChatGPT in here and see what nonsense it gives us to draw. That'd be a heck of a character challenge. It's an interesting tool. I'm worried about some of the stuff is sourced dubiously, and that worries me. Data sets trained on bad data or just outdated data. And then obviously all of the art issues with just straight up stealing art, and it doesn't really matter how you use it once you web scrape it and apply it to your own business product. That's the issue. In any case, we don't need to get into rants about that. I'm not opposed to the concept, I'm just opposed to how they did it. But on our timing here, we're at 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours and a half, which gives us 30 minutes for colors, which is not a lot of time for colors. Especially given we didn't really, fully finish the shading last time. We got close, and honestly, fairly light shading with a backlit is not a bad look for this one. I feel like something weird is happening here. Oh, it's the chainmail. Man, this actually has turned out to be a surprisingly good-looking design. I shocked myself with that one. Face pure honestly, the bigger thing for me is, well, part of it is face. Faces are still hard and I still need to work on them. The back arm doesn't have a lot of detail, but it probably shouldn't from this angle. But also the face being an exact profile directly looking forward isn't very dynamic compared to everything else on this pose. Something I ought to work on. But not something to work on with this drawing, something to work on for a future one, because we have 30 minutes and we've got colors to do. However, before we jump too far into that, just as a reminder, last time we left off, we had thrown together a separate alternate Olivine color palette. Got palette A, this is the old one. We had 2 greens that were really close to each other, and I'm not sure that's useful with the way we do our shading here. We do the shading before we even touch the colors, so do we need the color variants? Unless they're actually different colors. And then we generated this alternate one, which I'm also not 100% sold on, being truthful. It feels like it's got 3 colors that all have the potential to be way too bold in their own right. Pardon me. Sorry, still getting situated after moving around so much for the paint fumes and such. But yes, so we've got 4 good colors in here. I guess is that the skin tone? We'll see how that looks. Always room to tweak these, which is good, because, obviously some stuff is looking... I'm really happy with how the pants turned out. Less thrilled with the shield, different things. So we'll see. We will see what happens. But before we can see what happens, I need to get that timer pulled up. And not my Pinterest. That's Pinterest. That's not what we need. Okay. Okay. So we're doing 30 minutes. And we're going to try to do both color palettes in that time. Because I want to see how they turn out. I think this one's going to need, well, it doesn't have a white in here. Let's go ahead and add like an off-white. I'm going to tie it into the green, like just a very slightly greenish white, like really, really faint. Just so we have a fifth. I don't know if that'll work well or not. If anything, I probably ought to have gone with a white that'll contrast rather than fit with the main color palette, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. We also don't really have a great gray for the armor. Or for like detailing accents. So we're just gonna have to sort of see what happens with some of this. I'm not sure about this color palette. Like the other one had issues, but this one I think still maybe needs some of the pieces from the old one, like the gold. Well, not the low saturation one. Did some experiments with color palettes a while back. I don't think that was on stream. I think that was just messing around. Okay. And so we've got our values, we've got our shading, which actually, wow, the shading really does add a lot. It's subtle. Oh, ooh, that looks kind of neat. You know me, I love lineless. I like the lineless style a lot. But I don't think it's necessarily what we want to go for this. Pardon me again, I'm sorry about that. Notes can stay up there. Yeah, that's right. This one got off to a kind of a rough start, but I'm glad that we've stuck with it, even though it had a very long gap in the middle. Oops, sorry about that noise. Reshifting keyboard. I bumped the mic. Still getting used to the mic thing. We'll see if we stick with the mic, or if echo is bad enough that we ought to go with headset. I'm still exploring audio. I want to get better audio. I feel like better audio is a big part of better streams, honestly. Like, even if the content's exciting but the audio is bad, that's you're probably not going to stick around. Whereas if the content's boring but the audio's good, you won't notice anything and you'll also leave because, like, it's boring content. But it will be less jarring, like, oh, they don't know what they're doing, and more jarring, like, oh, I don't like this. I'm not sure that's better. Thinking about that out loud. Oh, well. Okay, and this... Oh, they need to not clip to the shade layer. They need... I throw it here, and then I clip it back. I throw it here, and then I clip it back. Cool, now all of this is clipped to the values layer, which is where I want it. And, yeah, that'll at least help with outlines. It doesn't do much when we've got all these on the same... all the values on the same layer, but, you know, it is a start. And speaking of starts, I think it's about time to get that timer started. That's not even a joke, that's just saying start weirdly. Okay, step one, let's get the greens in here. We'll do, again, we use the quick fill first and then we refine these things. That's sort of our process now. It works, it just works a little better. There we go. Man, this pattern has made this much slower to work with. I feel like I'm going to regret the pattern that I've put on this. But I'm going to stick with it for now. I mean, at least for this drawing, we've already committed, so... Oh, I've just realized that the shading is over the colors when it really ought to be under them. Oh, right, I need to set color opacity down if I want that to show up, but not too far down. Let's start with 70. I need to start accounting for that when I'm actually doing these designs. Let's go with our nice sort of off-white for this. This sort of like very loose greenish white I think is actually potentially going to work well. I want the blues going on in here. We're going to stick with our off greenish white for this part. So, oops, didn't want to get the brow up there. Okay, and then the question is, what do we use for this? I feel like a full black is kind of ominous. I feel like the green is jarring, and I think we were going with this for the skin tone, which we'll see. That feels a little too light, honestly. I have to tweak that. Definitely gonna have to tweak that. Oh, we got the greens for this. I feel like the metallic colors are going to suffer a bit with this palette. So we can go with the blues for this. And I don't think that's bad. Or we can go with this sort of skin tone, but because we're using it for the skin tone, I don't think it's going to be good. So yeah, I guess we're going to stick with the blue on this one. Yeesh. I can't wait to go and clean some of this up. We want our off-white for down here. Chainmail, I guess, is blue because we don't have a gray. I mean, it's kind of a blue-gray. Feels like it's trying to fill double duty, though. I'm not sure that's going to work super great. Because it was also the color I had slated for that, which, while dramatic for shadows, wouldn't be great. I'm liking the dark pants, though, but like the baseline gray's kind of better than this palette. I may ultimately have to do like a hybrid palette thing with this. Yay. I think we're gonna need to do some tweaking on that. It's like some of these things I think are gonna work really well. It's just that some of them definitely aren't. Okay, keeping up with this. Gonna get like the slightly softer greenish white going in this. We keep that color scheme going through the whole thing. Okay, green visor's actually kind of working. I'm thinking green eye. We'll see. Let's see, we got 26 minutes. Okay, we'll go fast, test out the colors, and then build from there, you know? See how this goes. See how we're feeling about it. Okay. See, like this feels way too dark for this. Okay, and then what color is this gonna be? Is this like just a lighter gray? Kind of takes away some of the contrast there. Honestly, gets lost. I mean, we could go for like matching this one. That might be better. Not necessarily great in the back there, but you know, it's a start. Okay, so there's sort of palette A, or B rather. Did I fill the whole background by mistake? I'm glad that glad that we're working with the clipping layers. Jeepers, how could I not remember that? Let's look at original Olivine color palette, see what we can get from this. Oops. We'll go for some of the gold accents first. Ah, I didn't even get like the little accent squares on the other one. Not that that's the end of the world, truthfully. Okay. I got a much harsher metallic white on this one. A little bit of gold going there. I'm going to use the lighter green as the green. Having the two greens together on this palette really just kind of doesn't work. I've tested with it a whole bunch and it's just never good. Clean up some loose ends. This is one of the other benefits, for the record, of doing all of our values first. Is we can mess with the color palette a lot, and it's really easy compared to when we don't do those first. Like, I can make all sorts of tweaks in here. Very, very quickly, and pretty low effort. Let's see. Okay, so we talked about using this white for everything up here. Including, I suppose, this. Probably didn't need to get that one. That's okay. I kind of like having the white for this sleeve, too. But we could also go with the black. It just ends up really dark on this one. Okay. And I do think we kind of want the maybe the metallic on this pauldron, because that's what it is. And we could lean into the black back here. Some of that, really go for it. Or we could have like a little bit of a green glove going on. We can also go metallic on the spear point, or we can say that it's like more of a painted white thing. Kind of aligns with the rest of that set a little more. And this admittedly fairly awkward set of ribbons. I feel like shading ought to be above these. Yeah, I think that's better. Use this. I feel like skin tone's still going to need tweaking. Especially because it means that the spear is skin tone, and I don't like that. We could also always go with a black spear to match, which feels really dark. But does kind of fit this whole deal a little better. And we can lean into the green for these too. Because we definitely want it for the ribbons. And that's been the most consistent thing so far, is green for the ribbons. Okay, so that's... Oh, that adds an interesting vitality to it, having both of them there. Oh, that really is an interesting palette. Not that it's a good palette, but I like some of these colors. I like how lively it makes this. The shield looks worse than ever, but, you know, what are we gonna do? 20 minutes left? Cool. We can go with an... Oh, no. Oh, I did that on the shading layer. Oh, no. Oh, no. Okay, hold on. We've got a lot of undoing to do. Come on, get the skin tone off, and then I think we'll be safe. Good enough. Okay, let's go back to colors A and actually add those again. Now that we know what we're looking for. Okay. Just double checking with my eyes that we are in fact still on colors A. I'm gonna go with the metal. Metal for this. And we can go with like a dark orb at the end. Ominous in an interesting way. Was there anything? Oh, yes. The thing that actually made us notice it in the first place. Oh, that's kind of interesting. It almost makes that look kind of tarnished. Okay. So having seen that, let's do one more where I just work with both palettes and try to pick the right color for the spot. Be a larger palette than we usually do, but I think that's okay. We're going to have to put the other two away while we do this one, though. Okay. I want to use gold sparingly, but I do think this is one of the places where it makes sense. I don't know if it needs to be this gold, but I do like having the gold, just like a little bit. Olivine alt gives us some interesting ones. I think this green's the same across both of them, actually. Soup, gotta get up in there. Okay. This green, I like having this sort of greeny white as the counter color. I think that works well. Keeps things exciting there. But then I think we definitely want the gray from the other set for the chainmail. It really keeps that nice and warm and looking good. I'm debating on a few of these other pieces. We could use the gray on the shield, sort of make it a little less intense. Whoops. We've got a really harsh white option for this one. I don't know if we want to do that or not. We've got lighter and darker pants options. I don't like that. don't think it looks good. Olivine alt. What did we do for... Oh, sorry. Colors A. Yeah, I liked the blue metal on these. That actually worked a lot better than I'd expected. Whoops. And I liked the blue for the pattern up here. Kind of fits the waviness that we've got going on. Ooh. It's really liking to bleed bleed through. I wonder what's causing that. It wasn't doing that before. I haven't messed with the fill tool settings. Huh. Really got no idea on that. Stick with this, stick with this. Is it the peachy? Still not sold on that skin tone. And I like the slightly off green for the bonnet, essentially. Or did we like the one that was more white? No, I mean, this kind of ties in better with the rest of the outfit. And I kind of, like, as much as I like the paladininess, I think that ties all that together better. In fact, let's even do that on the shield. We can make the shield the blue metal, too. Okay. Now we're down to some problem spots. Because the remaining areas are ones where color is tough. At least based on our palettes. I don't like the peachy pants. Not that they're bad, they're just distracting. I don't really like either of the grays on the pants either. Blends in with the chainmail too much. But this dark is too dark. And kind of washes out detail. Honestly, I really like the default baseline gray on those, and I kind of am inclined to just leave them as that. It's not an option we've ever really explored before. Okay, trying some other things. Looking at our borders here. Do we want these to be gold? My brain says, yes, gold shiny, gold pretty, do gold. But then I look at this and I'm like, gold compete too much. We could go with like simple white, sort of keeping to that cleaner look, and differentiating from Sifamir a little more. But then it kind of blurs into this, and actually that's the more bright white, not the greenish white. This would be the greenish white. Whoops. Gotta be careful. When you drag with the fill tool, undo is a little too powerful. Yeah, like I don't hate that. Oh, almost just dragged it out of the way entirely. Yeah, I mean, I feel like these are the kind of thing that you'd really want to add later if you wanted it to add at all. It kind of looks better just as an embroidery pattern, honestly. Oops. We could lean into the one on the sleeve a little bit more. Give it like just a gold dot. But then it makes all the others look accidentally uncolored, which isn't great. That kind of works, and then we could just lean into the same. I realize it's the same color as the chainmail, but I think it still looks reasonable as a shirt color. And it gives us a nice actual gauntlet there, as opposed to the darker whatever we've got going on. I think both of these skin tones aren't quite right for this character. We'll work on that. I'm not sticking as hard and fast with our color palettes. I know in the past I've been very strict about color palettes, and there's a part of me that's still like, yes, color palette strictness. But, like, I don't know. I think the whole point of having those strict rules is so that you can learn within a reasonable area, or if the restriction is actually giving you interesting ideas for the piece. But you don't want those restrictions actually holding back the art. This was supposed to be like leather or metal or something. I don't know what's ended up happening with it. Because it doesn't really match our fabric color. I mean, I guess we could lean into it being part of this. Put some of the lighter stuff around the edge. We got metal gauntlet there. This could even be sort of this lighter white color, so it doesn't contrast so well. Still think that should be skin tone. we're going to have to do some cleanup on this one, so I want to leave time at the end to do that with whatever color selection we end up going with. Okay. We've kind of got a lot going on with this palette. I'm almost inclined to change the gold to green at this point. I mean, maybe the visor, maybe not the visor. Maybe the visor actually goes dark. Like, do we go full black on this one, or the charcoal? That feels too dark. Let's try it with our metal tone. That kind of works, and that's less contrasty than the gold, which I like actually. I kind of like working the gold out of the palette. I keep thinking I'm gonna need to re-add it, and then we get in here and I'm like, do we though? Do we really? Because Olivine's got the soft green thing going. The gold is kind of a nice tarnishy, funky look on the soft green. I'll grant it that. I kind of liked it like just like as a little bit of weirdness on here. I don't know. We'll see. And then we can go with the sharp metal. Kind of inclined to go with the metal. Well, no, we kind of already got the metal spear. We could go with the blue for this. That'd be interesting. And we'll mess with opacity in a minute to make this a little better. I should just have the shading off while I do this. That would have been much better. We're gonna have to do so much cleanup because of that. Oh well. Blue spear point matches this nicely. Oops. I guess we could go for the white spear too, really lean into that. Have the blue at the end down here. Kind of liking that. We could even try blue chainmail, because we sort of got this blue as our metal color, which I'm increasingly liking. Sort of this for in there. Could go for the blue shoulder guard. And if we go blue on all of that, then it really does make this pop a little more as distinctly not blue. Or, as an alternative, we go blue on it, and we don't go blue on the waves. We actually stick to our sort of palette green. I think we still need the soft green for this. We'll figure out skin tone, and then we'll move on. Okay. I'm liking this. This is feeling like a much more sort of coherent design. Although that last change I feel doesn't draw the eye as well. So I'm kind of liking the gray visor. Okay, so we've mostly gone with the second palette mixed with the metal of the first. And I think that's a better combo than the previous two. Because we have this one, which, I mean, even if we go full opacity here, is actually similar, but the dark feels too dark. Like, it feels more like a black and white color scheme with some color. This one is more what I had in my original mind, but I kind of like it less for the character these days. As we've sort of discovered more about the design by creating it. I like this one. I mean, we can add all three together and mess with opacity and such, but I don't think that's a great look. Yeah, colors are starting to turn to mud. Okay. This is the part where I return them all to normal opacity. I guess I did. Okay. Then we put the shading back, but we put the shading on top. And that's a little too harsh. We put the shading on the bottom again. But we hide it while we actually color stuff in so that it will just apply the shading, or apply the colors to it. And as usual, let's kick this down to like... I need to figure out a way to make this the right type of layer so it's like multiply or something, but not multiply though. Not add. Lighten? No. Hue. Yeah, I figured that wouldn't work. Saturation. Color. That's something. Brightness. Nope. Ooh, I like that. That's funky. Hard mix, soft light, overlay. I need to look through these more. There was a time when I knew how like half of these worked, or at least like a third of them, and I have thoroughly forgotten. Near burn. I knew it wasn't subtract. I just wanted to click on it. But these other ones, like, I don't know. We'll start with normal layer. It's like, I want to take these colors and just set their value to the underlying value, but then not change anything else, but I don't think that's actually going to work. Also, we need to adjust the skin tone a little bit, I think. Let's go for something a little warmer. That seems more right. Fits better for Olivine. We'll start with that. Okay. Now is the part on colors where we actually do cleanup duty, and we sincerely hope that we use the same green on both of these. Because if I have two very, very similar but not quite the same greens on this, that's going to be a mess. Okay. Now we're going to have to do cleanup already on the face, but that's okay. This is the part where we just go for those clean, nice lines. Even when they really want to defy us. And we got... Oh, dear. We only have 7 minutes left. I thought we had more. Okay, we're going to have to prioritize a little bit on this. Because this is our final 30 minutes. There's no going back to cleanup. We spent a lot of time reworking the design. And while I don't have regrets about that, I have some regrets about how long it took. But that's just something that gets improved with practice. And that's literally what we're doing right now. So, can't really get mad about that. Well, I suppose y'all can. You can get mad that I've spent so much time on the sketch phase. But I can't. And I guess unless someone makes a fair point that I could have actually spent my time better. But, you know. We'll see if that actually happens or not. Okay. Put this in there. Chainmail is the one that I know is going to need a lot of help. It just catches colors from previous layers, as we sort of knew it would. All those L shapes really like to hang on to things. Okay, so we got that. Catch that. Pants are fine. Need to make sure that the blue is actually getting up in there, so that once the shade is applied, it's applying it to the blue. I say apply as if I'm not just going to do weird layer finagling. Maybe I overlay the shade on this and use that as the, like, value layer. Maybe that's what would work. Except I'm still going to need the pants to be the pants, just color full stop. Which, that's true, we did add that in the palette this iteration. That wasn't a part of it before. Looks too much like a pilgrim shoe. I like that, though. Okay. This back arm also we kind of knew was going to... Oh, right, I forgot that we were on this kind of layer, so we can really just clean this up a lot very easily back here. Clean up the blues, too. Right, we don't need to worry about edges. We do need to worry about the timer, though, so... Okay. Let's focus on focal points then. I'm not going to worry too much about the spear. It's got its issues. Whatever. But focal points are what matter. Olivine alt. Let's try to clean up these waves a little bit, because they're like actually near the face. They're a thing people will notice. Especially back there. Clean this a little bit. Clean that. A lot of cleanup to do on the visor here. That's fine. We go back, we get the gray. Underlying cleanup. We do some just very quick fills inside of there. We regret our lazy quick fills immediately. Oh well. Okay. We deal with that as we deal with it. Which is to say, we don't deal with it because there ain't time in the day. 6, maybe. Gonna have to fix that to be a little less logically weird. You know, at least face has a logical edge now. Cleaned up there, cleaned up there. Let's lean into this green for the eye, too. Just kind of fun. That's the wrong white tone. I actually think about what the fabric would be doing. There we go. I feel a sneeze coming on, but I don't have time for it. Come back later, sneeze. Your appointment's gonna have to be canceled. That's fine, that's fine. 2 minutes, 53 seconds. Okay. Really, on the clock now. Okay, good. Get the gold out of there. We don't need that. That's not even in our palette anymore. I saw something with the nose I want to fix. Ah, okay, fine. We'll go to the skin tone one more time. I can try to fix the nose a little bit and the edge of the face. And so we can fix that. So that actually matches. Okay. I'm going to try to get the arm. We're also going to have the interior of the shield. I guess that's not going to contrast, but I can't think of a lot of scenarios where those two colors would necessarily need to be contrasting against each other with this character. Like, this is one of the only angles, and even then we don't really want it to be a focal point, so, like, I'm just going to leave it. Hey, I'm not leaving that line, though. Okay, that makes sense. I thought there was a little more to some of this stuff. It's hard to know what's gray of the line work and what's gray. I guess I ought to do my line work in a different color, but I feel like that would come back to haunt us in other ways. Okay, other leg. This looks fine. Let's grab the gray, clean up. Oh, that's not the right gray. I guess there's just... Oops, okay. Nope. E, clear that out. Okay. We need the blue. 1 minute 29. This is the part. Hey, Cypus, how are you doing? I saw that awesome art you posted in the Discord. Sorry, I haven't had a chance to actually respond to anything there, but it looked really good. Yeah, let me try to sprint through our last few moments on this one. Okay, yeah. Okay. Doop-a-doop-a-doo, doop-a-doop-a-doo. We can add a little bit of blue here. We're on our 58 seconds. We're just doing final detail cleanup. Okay, we actually have time to come back and do a couple of things slightly better. Try to get these loops actually showing a little tiny bit. Fit in that detail work. Hope we didn't forget a major important thing that we're now missing because we're being silly. We can clean up the ribbons a little, I suppose. Then 30 seconds. Final 30 seconds. Ah, okay. Gotta get the back of this headpiece. There we go. Got to try to see. I guess there's just, like, not color there. Okay, that's fine. Not much we can do about that at this stage. Oh, jeepers, the spear point. I knew there was something. Here, well, at least fix this. Make that look halfway decent. This, we're just gonna have to fill in best as we can. 5 seconds ain't gonna be enough time to do that any better than it is, and it's not the most focal thing, so we'll leave it. Whew! Okay. Olivine. We have finally finished Olivine. It only took a month pause due to all the weird stream chaos, but we're done. Whew! That took a while. But I'm actually fairly happy with this one. I like some of the texture. I'm really happy with let's re-add the shading layer, get some of that detail back. There we go. Now the legs are looking sharper again. Yeah, let's see. Final recap. Happy with how the Hauberk turned out. Whoops, let's not draw a line on it. Happy with this part. I'm actually, like, that design's going to be interesting from different angles. I like the leg pieces. I really like sort of the leg shadows. I want to build on that style more. Face obviously still needs practice, but it's come a long way from where we were recently, so I think that that's something we can keep working on. Gonna have to work on the shield and the spear. Weren't really focal points. They need a little more design help, but yeah, overall, this is pretty good. Pretty good. Whew! Okay. It's been a marathon to get this one done somehow. It's only 4 hours of work. How on earth did it take 3 weeks? Alright. But yeah, Cypus, how are you doing? Let's see. Even just compare this to the last one we did. Where was that? Stifamir. Very different styles. My style ends up changing, stinking a lot. I'm always trying to tweak and refine and change it. Oh, yeah, I mean, always good to bring the money in with commissions, but yeah, you also gotta not burn yourself the heck out with those. I may not have done many art commissions, but I used to do sewing ones back in the day, and yeah, they'll eat at you if you're not careful. Breaks are worth doing. Okay, so Sifamir. Man, these are wildly different color palettes. Ah. This one's probably the stronger palette. That's something I'll have to work on. This one ended up a little muddled, but that's okay. We had the shading on top, and then we soften it. That sort of work. Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah, I'm vibing with that, as opposed to on the flip side, I feel like the shading's too subtle. Yeah, okay. You have 4 animations in the pipeline? Holy cow. Man, I am always impressed by the people who have the energy and then the enough skill that they can go fast. One day I'll get there, but it's going to take a lot more practice. That's so cool, though. I can't wait to see what you do. Yeah. Everything's a skill. I just gotta find time in the day to actually practice the darn things. And then I'm like, oh, I actually want to learn Blender. And it's like, no, wait. Finish other projects first. Yeah, it was cool. I've been excited. The Discord's been... The art channel was a great suggestion. We've gotten a lot of awesome activity in there and some cool stuff that people are sending in. It's always fun to see what people do. And we wouldn't have had that without your suggestion, so I definitely appreciate it. Guess I can close out our timer for now. Hashtag best fox indeed. Yeah, well, yeah. I want to, once I can get a little more consistent and sort of get my groove down, I want to start going and actually doing raids and supporting other people too. It's so much fun to jump between channels, you know, and see what other folks are doing and chat with them, and I've just got to find the time for it. Stinking... I'm too routine oriented. I like my structure, and sometimes you just got to be able to flex in order to hang out with people and not worry too much about the next morning. A little bit. You still need to be aware of them the next morning, but it's worth staying up late just to catch up with people sometimes. Whoops. Okay. Yeah, I've perused a few, and I did some raids back in the day, but unless you've actually got a few viewers, raiding feels kind of weird. Oh! Always down for small streamer advice. Discord has so many wonderful communities for it, too. For streaming, and people with channels where you can actually promote your stuff, and they're like, hey, you're welcome to do it here. It's just cool. I like the community building. But yeah, if you've got a server for small streamers, I'd love to. Yeah, streaming groups are good. I've got some friends who keep talking about the idea of streaming soon, so I'm holding off on joining any right now, just because I want to see if they want to do something, I'd love to start something with our crew so that we can sort of do stuff. But it sort of depends on whether or not they actually end up deciding to stream or not. So I'm waiting a little bit. We'll see what happens. But it's so fun to see the streaming groups out there and people actually building community. It's fun to see the community building. Let's see. And it's funny. I've realized I watch a little less Twitch now that I actually stream it. But there is something fun about like the medium-sized stream where you've got like, you know, 10 or 20 people in chat. It really, like it keeps things lively, but it's not like just a million messages a second flying by. Like the big ones are fun, but they're definitely very different energy. Chat becomes sort of a endless void, as opposed to individuals. Like it's so much more fun getting to actually chat with people, as opposed to chat with chat. Just vague amorphous entity chat. But yeah, it's awesome that y'all have a streaming group and that you help people out. It's just cool to see. The world's so crazy right now. It's nice when people are actually like hanging out or just like able to do nice things. Yeah, no, get back. Keep it at 50? Yeah. Yeah, 3K is a little tough. I mean, it's exciting. It's technically success, but it almost is the same way where you can succeed into failure. like at a job. Like if you like being a teacher and then you get promoted to principal, suddenly you do a bunch of paperwork and parent management. You don't get to actually teach kids, and you're like, oh, this promotion was bad. And streaming feels the same way. Like if you get too big, you stop getting to actually like do the stuff. Oh, thank you. Yeah, let me crack that open. Let me swap to my actual streaming Discord and not the personal one that's been around for like 10 years and is the equivalent. I feel like really old like Discord and Slack accounts and stuff is the new version of like embarrassing old email addresses. It's just like it's like I don't want to share the old one. Let's just do the stream one. Oh yeah, stinking. Oh yeah, stinking stream lag too. I hope you're not getting too much on this end. Internet's been a little weird lately. We're like painting the house and redoing some stuff, and it's messing with all sorts of nonsense. Yum salt. Oh, cool. I like this. Okay, yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to jump in here. Thanks for the invite. Ooh. We'll cruise in here. Yeah, next side project. Probably not gonna do it on stream, but I want to get a VTuber model going at some point in here. There's like I've got most of the stuff I need. It's just a matter of taking the time to do the design and like actually make something that'll work, which is most of the time. Oh, awesome! Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. Okay, let's see. Other things for today. Well, step 1, drink water. I can't wait until I get to the point where I can have channel points and actually, like, have the drink water reminder. Ah, yeah, tech help is always good. Fortunately, that's fairly close to my actual job, so, like, debugging stuff isn't too hard, unless it really, really borks. But, like, right now I've been doing okay, but especially if I get into VTuber stuff, that's going to make it real complicated. So we'll see. We shall see what happens. Okay. Right. Yeah, yep. See. Well, I see we got a few people watching. That's always fun to have people tune in. Always friendly to the lurkers. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I need to get some of my... I need to sort of set up my go live routine a little more. I haven't updated that really since I started, and there's a few things that I could do smarter. Being able to like actually send reminders when I go live places would be smart. I mean, I've got it in my own Discord, but that doesn't invite new people. I'm always happy to remind. It's always fun to see familiar faces, but it's not a great way to grow the channel, so to speak. So thank you, I appreciate that. Let's see, what else we got? There's Sifamir. Man, there's... These are such different drawings. If I didn't draw them both, I wouldn't think that I did both of... Like, the same person did both of these. Yeah, it's so funky. Well, that's the fun thing is, like, since we're still in this learning phase, I haven't really got a style nailed down, so I can keep testing and trying weird things. Like, I like how smooth a lot of this one looks, but I also really like the sharp shading on these pants. I'm gonna have to find... I mean, not that I have to stylize everything into the same look, but, gonna have to keep building and keep practicing and trying things. That one was funny. But to go into one that's a little more detailed and not on a timer, I think it's time we finally go back. Oh, jeepers, I started this in March. Oh, boy. It's been a long time since we worked on Miquella. This is not an OC, this is just an Elden Ring character. But, an Elden Ring character with no face references in the entire stinking game. Well, like 1.5 face references. Let's see. I think I still have it on desktop. Miquella Refs. Kills me that this might be the best face reference we have for this character. So I've been taking some time practicing my art and practicing faces. It's just... Oh, yeah. Oh, it's so fun. I had a style for a while. Like, it was super basic, which was fine. But, like, there was one... Salt I can still just, like, do from memory. Let's use a color that's actually, like, halfway recognizable. There we go. Oh, jeepers. It's gotten a little rough since then. Let's see. Oh, rats, the hat's going right off the page. Oh, well. Have the little shard bit. One of these days I will have this a little more consistent. Got the bangs. Got this. Oh, jeepers. Man, it has been too long since I've drawn Salt. I'm losing the muscle memory. But it was just like a really, like, quick, sketchy style. Ah, well, I'm gonna have to get back to that one and keep practicing it. It's been so long. Ah, yeah, back to work. Anyway, there we go. Salt doodle. Okay, yes, Miquella. No time frames on Miquella, but let's crack open that Pinterest, because I've got face references and I'm not afraid to use them. They're not actually Miquella's face, but they should be something I can go off of, rather than attempting to generate a face from my mind, which takes a lot more practice than I have and isn't really recommended in the best of days. Let me get this showing up in the overlay normal-like. Plus, doopy-doopy-doo window capture. Doopy-doopy-doo. That one. And now that's going to be way too big. Cool. Let's make the Pinterest reference, like, a little more reasonable, maybe. There we go. Narrow and focused. So, in here, I've got a couple of things. We'll pop this over here since we got all this space from the vertical one. But looking in this, part of it is we've got, like, fan art other people have done, which is always fun to see. These characters are fun. Let's see, hold on. Do I want a back arrow? Yeah. They're just cute. I love this person's art. This it's not Hoshi. That's not the original artist. I've got to find the original artist. I hate not being able to actually cite things properly. Did they link the original one? No, they didn't. That's no good. And they misspelled Miquella's name. Well, in any case, I'll have to track that one down, because it's really good art. But in the meantime, we've got some similar faces. None of them are exactly Miquella, of course, but there's something we can work off of. Apparently a lot of Ronnie fan art down there. That's not part of this. So, before we jump right into all of this, let's see, we've got our braid practice. Oh, jeepers. This is an old file. I haven't touched this in like a month. We're going to have to sort of reorient myself. It's like getting back to a programming project after you haven't touched it in a long time. Like, you're like, oh, what do any of these functions do? I don't know. What is this variable? Why is it called letter? Okay, let's see. Cool. I'm actually going to check all of this into a folder, if it'll let me. There we go. Folder. Miquella. Nope, I can't spell the day either. So much for criticizing that other one. Okay, Miquella, because we've got another section out here that really ought to just be practices. Face warm-up. And I'm going to dunk these in a practice folder. Got to keep my thoughts sorted, especially on these big projects. You just really got to keep your thoughts sorted. Because there's a lot of layers in this already, and if I didn't have any of them in folders, this would be stinking awful to navigate. Like, ew. Already having to scroll through like 20 different things. No thanks. Okay, face warm-up. Also, the other benefit of this folder is I can just put this away for a moment. Clear my desk, so to speak. Let's see. I was liking this charcoal. I was kind of liking this charcoal. They're the same color. I know they're the same color because I checked it right before stream. Why do I think they're different? Okay, let's see. Zip-a-doop-a-doo, doop-a-doop-a-doo. Okay. Oh, I put my ref away. Well, we'll do a couple of practice warm-ups on these faces. They're at different angles, which should be good for actually warming up. Obviously, none of them's one-to-one, but we want to kind of get the feel for this type of feature and proportions, given that Miquella is said to look like a child. So I think that'll be fitting. But before we do that, it is 9:03, and in the name of self-care... Yeah, I feel like I agree. This one's kind of a charcoal black, but it's definitely too strong with the pen. But with the mechanical pencil or the normal pencil, it's like a little better, especially when I can get my pressure sensitivity going with it. Ah, yeah, 9:03. Actually, what I meant was it's time for a restroom break. Make sure people drink water and take care of themselves. So we'll probably be back in like 3 minutes. And then we'll start on this. That way we don't have to lose our train of thought midway through the actual sketches. So I'll see y'all in just a couple moments. Okie dokie. Looks like we made it back just on time for that 3 minutes. And, oh boy, the bathroom still smells a lot like paint. Not loving that. Been 3 days. How does it take so long for paint smell to dissipate? But it does. And that's okay. Just sort of the way of things. Let's see if we can crack the timer back open, actually. You know what? I don't actually want to time these faces. I want to take the time to learn and study them. I don't want to take the time to rush and try to get a facsimile. Kind of a different type of practice that we're aiming for with this one. So, let's start with, sure, this one. I'm going to put on my own timer, just to sort of see how we fare on these. But I've got a actual physical timer here, which you can probably hear beep. Yeah. So we'll let it do its thing while we sort of do some sketching. Just try to get the hang of this. I'm gonna need a much smaller. Probably want the mechanical. Well, I don't want this dark with the mechanical pencil. Could try this. Kind of a brown tone's not a bad idea. Doing something a little more sepia. Do we have a brown on the other one? No, we really didn't, did we? No. Kind of a peachy tone. That's not bad. Kind of skin tone-ish. Well, one of many. Yeah, let's actually try something like this. Try it with the pencil on not 30. The normal pencil just doesn't look very good if it's too small. Yet the mechanical pencil has gotten a little too smooth, I think. And the tilt pencil is still fascinating. Gotta keep working on that. Okay, mechanical pencil. Zoop-a-doo. Or normal pencil, but small. It just looks like a really hard point, like 4H pencil. That's the problem. I guess if we zoom in a little bit, it's not nearly so much of that. Which is probably better for what we're trying to do anyway. Okay. Oh, jeepers. Page auto reformatting. I was hoping I could get the ref a little bigger for me, but if the page is going to redo its layout and mess with our view, I don't really want to do that, so. Instead, we shall just make do. Drink a little more water, and actually kick this off rather than talking about it for 10 minutes. I say having probably already talked about it for 10 minutes. Okay, looking at the face. I'm going to try to draw a center line here to start with. Okay, actually, top of the head's going to have to curve a little more out there. Thinking through. I know a lot of different head shape methods, but I've really had the most luck not necessarily thinking through the exact proportions on it. And I realize that's super faint on stream, so I'll try a darker, try something that'll show up a little more. Okay, cool, that looks better. Is it? Yeah, okay, not that though. Okay. Then, I have found though that I have a better eye for relative proportions than I do for constructed faces. Like, keeping angles and positioning and, like, lengths of lines relative to each other seems to be working better in general when I try to do faces. Which is funky, because that's definitely not, like, recommended good practice. And I definitely still want to go and mess with, like, Loomis heads and a few other things. I've read up on at least one of the actual Loomis manuals and stuff like that. That's not, like, a credibility line. It's just that I've been trying to think about this for a long time, and faces are still tough. Which isn't really a surprise. Alright, real quick, distance between these 2 points. Very similar distance between these two, but it's not actually, so we need to... I think the answer is that one of these is a little too long. There we go. That's better. Okay. Yeah, that tracks more. Okay, nose from bottom bottom corner of chin kind of has, if we draw a line straight up from that, catches the side of the nose, top of the nose here. Yeah, this is still really dark on stream. Or really faint on stream, I should say. Okay, it gets down to about halfway on that. In this, here. And I can have the line up. Noses aren't super easy to just do with lines. Like a little bit of the edge there, so it's not quite one-to-one. This ought to really like curve down and up a little more. Okay, okay, there we go. Nose. Let's see. Here, I can zoom in a little more even. It'll be pixely looking, but maybe it'll actually show up on stream, yeah? Cool. Okay. That aligns eye with here, which makes sense. Got kind of... hold on. That's going to start above this little point. Starts above it, ends below it. So I really want to start more like here. That doesn't line up with the exterior, though. Okay, so eyeballing it is not a perfect plan. Never really expected it to be fair. Let's see what we're working with here. Eye shape. Edge of the face seems slightly too far away, or eye seems too small. Kind of over arc that. And we've got the eyelid coming down that softens the shape a lot. If I draw the iris, how's that looking relative to nose tip? Probably a little big. That's okay though. We'll do that with not pencil in a minute here. Kind of like a little bit of that inner edge. Very soft eyelashes there. And then this, it's really like, this particular eyebrow is like a lot of vertical stripes, but the overall shape sort of follows over and up, and then back down. Yeah, roughly, that seems to have lined up right back where we began, which is good. That's what we want. Okay. Little arc in. That hair curl that really comes out and defines this section of the face. Or at least the silhouette of the face. Secondary hair curl. Spike ends up deeper than the first one, but not crazy deeper. Now let's get the other half of the face before we commit too far down that road. This is a nice long sweeping curve, but not one that I want to take blindly. Let's see. It only extends out here. We've got kind of like this. Roughly that. Height-wise, where should this edge land relative to the nose? Not here, but more lower, so we want that vertically. And width-wise, how far out should we actually be expecting to see here? Further than we initially think. Perspective on the eye isn't quite nailed yet, and we're going to need more context around the face before it's going to work either. So, we'll soften out these lines too. This is still just sketch phase. How far over does this ultimately get? Like, is the horizontal distance there? It's not actually all that wrong. It's just not vertical enough by the time it reaches here. More like... nope, not like that. More like this, but we're gonna have to soften this silhouette. Edge face, or edge of the face silhouettes are always so challenging compared to some other things. Okay. Gonna lose the center lines. So they're throwing off because they're not actually center, because that wasn't their point. Their point was relative chin to nose placement. This will start above here. It will be horizontally level with the other one. Mostly, but it's a little softer and it's a little tiny bit wider based on our angle. Point is still going to land vertically, like the outer point here is going to land vertically roughly where we thought it was. Or not where we thought it was, but where it is on the other one, so it should align similar height. That's not always true, but in this particular pose, in this particular angle on the face, it seems to be reasonable. I'm literally holding up a pen to the monitor now, and yep, okay. Similar deal, a little bit less in the way of visible eyelashes here. I think that's just because of the angle of the shading. Iris. You can actually see the bottom of this iris. That's interesting. We've got the classic too much detail in weird places on an amateur face thing going on. We'll get there, though. Because, you know, shading and all that jazz will come. And hopefully not in a way that just makes them look extremely old. Which is sort of the way of so much early shading. Like stinking smile lines. If you're not careful with those, it makes every character you draw look extremely old. This character's young enough that they don't even have like the little side ones. But like, look, immediately. Old grandma now. Granted, this face shape is still not going perfectly. We'll have to smooth it out a little bit. But let's save that for the inking phase, shall we? Quote-unquote inking. Okay. Brainwaves, I know that this should line up directly under the nose, and the actual image is just the tiniest bit off to the right because of the angle of the pose. This really only comes down to here, and then we're out. Smaller on this side, similar reason. And more horizontal out, but even then, like, yes, it technically lines up below the irises, which is good. That's what you'd expect, especially, well, on a front-on view anyway. Let's see. This is just real close. I got a lot of shading in there, but first off, let's get that bottom lip actually, like, not terrible. Okay, got the shadow. Got that. I'm feeling like the neck is a little too, or the chin is a little too deep, but that may just be like an angle thing from the photo. We'll see. Okay. Neckline is a little more vertical light than that. Well, actually, no, that's pretty close, and it's roughly similar in length to this line segment here, so to speak. So we'll go a little longer. Curve it back out. Shoulder. Okay, cool. That's actually lined up roughly where you'd expect it to. Curves back. I say where you'd expect it to. What I mean is that when you do sketching, oftentimes they do just like front view, side view, and then like kind of a 3/4 view. And so you sort of get accustomed to where stuff would be placed based on those 3 angles. And that's not always consistent across other angles. So when I'm saying like, oh, it's where I expect it to be, that just means like relative to those models. Not literally like I have a magical understanding of the ideal human face, and any face that varies from it is surprising. That would be a cool skill. It's not a skill I have, though. Okay, let's see. We won't mess too much with shirt details and all that jazz. Not really that important for what we're doing. And like, that's kind of interesting to note how the shadow falls. Okay, let's see. Alright, bottom of the ear is too low here. Not really surprising. Shouldn't have used it as a reference for the neck. Because it is above the bottom of the nose. Widthwise, it is separated from the head. Widthwise, we're looking at most about the same width as the ear by the time you're getting up here. Let's see. Alright, now let's think about some hair patches, hair shapes. Welcoming bunch on Discord. I'll have to get back in there after the stream. Kind of a hair shape here. I don't want to block this off too much, because I know full well that I can botch hair shapes pretty royally if you get just the wrong level of detail. Alright, so yeah, that's about double there. Okay, kind of curl in. As far as the face silhouette's concerned, this going here. And this side arcs out just below there. Now, this is the part where I try to go through and do something slightly cleaner. And it probably won't look better, but we'll try. Let's go through and ink it. With a smaller point than that, we can go 3. And maybe we can actually try that sepia color if it'll be visible. Not the best sepia, but it'll do. Okay. Now let's try to smooth some of these lines a little bit. We know the edge of the face is going to be there. If we want smooth lines, we got to really go faster than that and not just plot and plan through everything. The idea is that we can sort of follow what we've already done, assuming I don't botch my posture. Let's see. Curve in. Smooth this. This shape right here is one that I always struggle with that line and end up with characters that look like grandmas. And there's nothing wrong with grandmas, they're lovely. But I don't know why every single character ends up with just like that line being off. Okay. I shouldn't double tap lines like that. I know it's good practice in zombie movies, but it's bad practice in art. Let's try from the top down. No, hold on. That's closer. We don't need this much ear detail. Something simple will start there. I see the nose is good. I'm actually pretty happy with the nose. And a sideline. But then it's these other pieces that without proper shading and context, I always seem to like get the wrong level of detail for them. Like, that doesn't feel like the right level of detail for the mouth. But when you add the wrong additional details, it definitely doesn't work. And that's where, like, my brain's like, oh, you just need to shade it. But I know there's ways to represent a face without, like, full shading. I'm still trying to narrow down which details are worth keeping. And which ones I should prioritize when doing faces like this. But that's something that will come with practice. Okay, that'll do. We'll do that. We'll stylize the pupil a little bit. Why not? Okay. A little more vertical on that side. Interesting. A little bit there, not really the priority. I mean, I can go with the super scratchy eyebrows. Maybe that's what I ought to do with some of this other stuff, is really just like scratch in some shade, details. But we'll see. Note, irises definitely ought to be the same size. Which means that our eye size is a little off here. There we go. Figured out what I was doing wrong. I was like trying to bounce off the bottom and react to it when I hit it, and that's why I was getting like a really bouncy curve. It's not, in fact, what we wanted. Let's see. So. Cool. And quick, confident lines almost always seem to end up looking better. And I know that's like a known thing in art, but like, it still amazes me how much it's true. Also, if you're going to undo and redo the line, you may as well do quick lines so you can get to the right one faster, you know? You think that's not how it works. You're like, you don't just shuffle through the lines to get to the right one, but genuinely, like, iterating is kind of important for some of this stuff. Let's see. Getting too much detail in some of this hair and kind of losing out on overall shape, so I'm going to have to be careful with that. Okay, jeepers. Ah, that side of the face is a little off. Okay, so let's see. I think we knew something was wrong with it already. It's just a matter of knowing what. It's easy to see when a face is off proportions. We're trained to recognize that stuff just like innately. We have a ton of... A, you see people a lot in daily life most of the time. And B, like our instincts are all about identifying and recognizing people. Been an important part of like humanity's skill set for a very long time. Which unfortunately means if art is just a little bit off, it's really obvious. And when it's a lot off, it's super obvious. So... let's take a moment to look at what exactly is off here. Okay, for starters, one that's fairly obvious. I mean, I can do the neck shadow, but let's not color that in like that. Okay, for starters, I actually kind of like some of this hair texturing. The silhouette of the hair got too complicated. We end up with sharps and curves that fight each other too much. I should have committed a little more to one or the other on that. That's fine. Down here, this part's not bad. This part's not terrible. But face silhouette proportions, and this is one of the biggest issues with a lot of faces, and I can like maybe sort of fix it, but not well. Face looks like it's floating in the shape of the head, because it's not placed correctly relative to the head. See, even that still looks bad, but it looks a little more right, doesn't it? It looks more like they're actually at the angle. What this means, however, is that like the whole face shape is off as a result, and that's why you generally want to try to like actually have a structure to lay out the face first, where we like actually, whoops. Why am I curving so much? It's just my hand. Okay. Anyway, like if you can lay out the proportions early and like relative to this stuff, then like even a very simple face can look proportionally correct pretty early. The problem is when you're trying to draw a specific face, mapping these lovely idealized proportions onto it doesn't always go super great. That's not what I'm doing right now. I'm just stinking doodling a face. Let's see, from this angle, I feel like that's not the right ear position. Yeah, if we're above them, shouldn't the ear actually look like it's lower? Eh. Let's see. Give this character a side part. Give him something funky. You're kind of emerging through. And hair should always be a little bit above the skull, not on it. But again, this isn't really relevant to the problems we have, especially not with Miquella, where we've actually done the hair first. Weird order of operations, probably going to regret that. Let's see. Really ought to be fairly close on that side then. attach lines like that isn't a good idea. I mean, there are vector tools for it, but I'd have to actually use those tools and care enough about the outcome of this particular drawing. But like, look at that. That immediately has a very clear perspective angle, and like the face looks like it's mostly in the right place. I'm still not sure on that ear. I think the jaw goes a little too high, but the point is, like, having those proportion guides is great. Being able to map those proportion guides onto a specific pose, however, is hard. Let's try something quick with the same kiddo's face. So when I'm doing this line, what I'm concerned about is where does the actual center of the face land relative to the shape of the head? And if we're looking on the stream over here, like, it's really not... If one edge of the head is here, roughly, the other is way over, like, here, the center of the face is, like, kind of happening over here. It's off-center, but it's not off-center enough to be easy to tell. So we're going to aim for that. And there's not much change up or down in terms of curvature and such, so I don't worry too much about that being unusual from my model. Okay. Mental model, I mean. Like this head shape method, not like the actual person that we're drawing. The word model has a lot of uses, doesn't it? Huh. Okay, thinking about proportions. We've got that. We've got that. We've got that. Kids' faces aren't going to be quite as tall. Well, depending on the age, they're actually proportionally taller. Ay. Don't know where this one lands. Also, because of perspective. Why is this in perspective? This shouldn't be in perspective like that. You see now why I put off the Miquella face drawing for so long. Although, we do actually have one sneaky advantage with that one. And that's because we're not trying to match an exact face. We have a little more freedom to actually follow whatever model we build. We just need to make sure that model fits the rest of the body well. Okay. See, like, everything about this is telling me that it's not a front-on view, and truly that image isn't quite a full-on front-on view, but it's closer than what my current model is implying. So let's go with something a little simpler for the overhead lines. It's not going to be a one-to-one with the model, but that's fine. We usually have to trim the edge off these stinking circles with Loomis method anyway, a step that is easily forgotten if you want egg-shaped people. Oh, I think I just heard a call for my name. I will be back in just a few moments, y'all. Sorry about that. Howdys and salutations again. Sorry about that. Thank y'all for waiting. Just had to see some people. Whoa, no. Okay, fixed. That is a command that I wish didn't happen. Okay, back to faces. So this is rough right now, obviously. These are all rough. That's sort of the point. Because we're trying to warm back up. It's been a long time since we've done realistic style faces. I've been doing, like, freeformy sketch faces, and there's a lovely middle ground to have, I'm sure. But the trick is finding it. That's wrong. Because, I mean, like, freeformy sketchy stuff is fun and comparatively simple. You don't have to worry about proportions that much because you can just kind of play with it, and it's simple. And throw stuff on the page. I mean, you can get really stinking abstract stuff going on with this. And it still, like, registers normally. I could have some horrible, like, combo hairstyle thing going. Actually, this ends up looking just sort of like a hat with a lot of hair coming out the back. Oops. But, like, see, like, your proportions don't matter that much. Like, obviously you can do much better than this and still actually have it, like, sort of make sense proportionally, which this one doesn't. And, like, little tweaks make things like this simpler, but, like, you've got a lot more free reign with it. Oh, jeepers, I don't actually want... I just want width change. Oh, well. I thought I could cheat my way out of more. But I couldn't. You can, of course, cheat by winking. But let's maybe not do that. Let's actually, like... do this. We can scoot the nose over. And, like, look, a fairly simple three-quarter view. You can even, like, clean up some of these to make them, like, a little smoother if you want a more smooth look. Oops. And, I don't know, we could even have that cross behind the nose at this angle. Like, pretty close to it. Depends on how narrow a face this person has. Or you could go real wide chin, but I don't think we want that. The point being, like, this sort of stuff you can just kind of mess with. Trying to actually make it look like a specific person or fit a specific style, though, is much harder. So we just gotta refresh a little bit. It's been a while. Chill out a little bit on some of this. I gotta stop messing with this face. Amazing how much you can change it with just a few lines, though. That's a bad tangent. Anyway, I should stop. I should genuinely stop messing with whatever's happening there. And let's go back to our actual reference that we're looking at and see if we can't map him to this sort of, like, model we have in a way that is meaningful. Because normally this would be the brow line. And this is the hairline. We'd be dealing with, like, something like this, but I think I've got my spacing just a hair off. Mainly because hairline should be landing halfway through there. No, hairline's up here. Okay, yeah, there we go. Sorry, I'm going off of this by memory. It's been a while since I actually reviewed these in the books. Brow line, bottom of the nose, bottom of the chin. Kid proportions will be slightly different. We're going to have to tweak for that, of course. But, like, even knowing that, still going to be comparatively simple to get stuff in the right place here. And not worried too much about mouth details that aren't relevant. Let's see, focus on chin. Focus on, of course, external face shape. Let's see, that's hairline and that's brow line. What we really want is something that goes more like this. Arcs its way down here, and like kind of arcs in a little more as we go. Arc less there, arc more there. And I'm not going to worry so much about the exact contour of the bottom of the chin, because for whatever reason, this sort of like shape, if you're not doing a hyper detailed face, always seems to imply age as well. I don't know how we've ended up with that being sort of a symbol, but it's not really actually like a useful one. And so we can either try to follow the actual like edge of the face as it sort of comes down and do this, and it'll be more true to the face and it will look really bad, or we can try to actually stylize it to fit the feel of the face over the appearance, and we'll see if that works. Of course, the problem being, perhaps this is an issue with where I've been going wrong with some of these. Potential breakthrough here. The reason why because I always, when I'm doing the face alignment, I make a point of making sure that the face isn't dead center unless it actually is, because it's a common mistake, and it's an easy one to make. And then somehow by the time I finish, I'm always like, the face is dead center again. I think it's at this stage, because I'm sort of, like, as I edit the silhouette, I end up recentering the face, or the head shape around the face again. No, don't do that. Stick to this. We'll tweak as we go from there. Okay, so we've got this. We've got eye placement. I get like a softer curve on this one, trying to stay true to what it actually looks like without getting too weary, because honestly that's a little high up. Both of those eyes are a little bit too high up. Just drag all the lines down. Makes you real. As soon as you have to actually move them, it really makes you realize how many extra lines you do on a thing. I'll start with that. I like the face silhouette stuff. I'm going to focus more on curves over spikes. There should be thought to the curves, otherwise you end up with just like stinking children's cloud looking things. Perhaps it's not a good day for this. That's okay though, because I think we're still getting insights even if we're not exactly getting the results we want. Should have put the ear on a long time ago. Okay, so tossing some of these. Obviously, face shape is still an issue, but we've gotten the face in the right relative position. We've got the proportions in the right places, and even with the pause, it took less time than that first one, and still managed to look a little bit more like the actual kid. So, things to check. Face angle was not correct relative to the face. Don't know if I started that too high up or what happened there. Face actual silhouette, still very hard to get these like angles that aren't angles. And because okay, yeah. Like, how do I design this in a way where it actually fits? We've got neck. I think I've actually accidentally turned him into a teenager somehow. Is it too wide of chin? It's probably too wide of chin. But the actual the actual reference is what I was thinking of, not the kid. Like, you end up with something more like this, but that ends up looking really terrible. So I'm trying to figure out how to soften this curve in a way that is accurate, or if it's even worth including it, or if I should just really go for this. Chill with the ear a little bit. Bring that there. And so on. Like, that looks, face shape wise, more like the actual child. Interesting that the neck actually ends up kind of looking like it. And it's also possible that neck has an impact on that age thing a lot more than you realize. The neck really does sort of slant in and then outward. But even so, we won't mess with that too much. Even so, like, we still lose some of the childishness, because the roundedness of the shape is what makes them look younger or older. Like, literally both. Being rounded or makes you look less middle-aged or teenagey. So, I'm trying to figure out how to capture the proper roundness to look young, without capturing the wrong roundness that makes you look like an old lady. Actually, this just looks like a skull. That's not commentary on old ladies. Many lovely old ladies. Here, we gotta at least get the skull shape proportional to the face. It's just like that cartoon skull that doesn't make any stinking sense if you think about it for more than 2 seconds. Okay. Okay. Dagnabbit. Why is that actually like a passable, like almost a passable skull shape in like 3 seconds, but like an actual human face is impossible? Okay. In any case, this I would say is still considerably closer. It's still not where we need it to be. Eyes are too small. All right, let's tweak that. But it's better than this. I mean, the hairstyle is worse and the detail is not as good, but it's much more like the actual reference, which is an important thing to be focusing on. Like, we can add some of that hairstyling. Minimal effort. The contradictory lines going on there. This is actually an ear. Let's see. You can basically just do whatever in an ear and it'll look right. Everyone's ears are so different, and we don't pay that much attention to what they look like. You can get away with almost anything. I mean, they definitely knew that on The Simpsons. Sort of famous for that, but it's true pretty much everywhere. Let's go a little bigger on the eye. And a little bigger on this eye. Wow, that actually looks a lot more like the kid. Eye size was a larger factor than I realized, and we, like, really didn't capture much of the nose detail. Just sort of messed around with it, which is, you know, by and large fine. I don't like simplifications of the nose where they just have like the silhouette and it's like this. I always thought those looked creepy. But it's what you get if you like literally trace a nose. Like that is kind of the shape. It's just that there's other details that are important. And just adding this does not solve it. Looking at you, me characters from the Wii. That's right, this is a call out for like 15 years ago. And I'm sure it was an intentional stylization choice and not just like a flaw on their part. So, you know. Okay, let's see. No, it's really, that comes down a little too far. There you go. That's a simple nose shape. Fits. This captures the expression better than the much more detailed, but just much less correct mouth expression. Like, I'm trying to capture the mood, not necessarily the actual literal details. And the fact that this curl comes a little lower down. And this stuff really doesn't jut out nearly as much as it does on this side. Which sort of makes sense. Yeah, so, like, trying to capture the feel of a face is very different from trying to capture the actual, like, literal appearance of a face. And I'm not really good at either. But that's what practice is for. And that's what we're doing. So we've got 4 minutes left. Let's try something different. This face is at a completely different angle. I'm going to see if I can't just do a very quick capture of the feel of this face in our last few minutes here. And see if we can't get some decent proportions on it. These two layers mean nothing other than their relative position to each other, so... Okay, yeah, that's... Hold on, that's brow line. Nose, chin, there. Not one-to-one for kids' faces, but it'll do. Brow line. Now, these things always end up so much at a different angle than I expect. So much more of the head is above than you'd ever imagine. And I know they teach that a lot, and I've learned it before, but it still throws me for a loop. There we go. A simple smile. Not even like a smug one. Just a simple smile line is going to be better than trying to get all of that going in there. Though even that was better than actually, like, putting effort into it. Overthinking things is, like, not your friend in art. At least not all the time. Let's go for a simplified eye shape, too. Okay. He's got a low hairline. Holy cow, kiddo. Got quite the style going on here. So we can't even necessarily see the full tops. We're going to have to extrapolate a little bit, but we kind of got head proportions going already here. Let's not overthink those too much. We'll deal with face silhouette in a minute. I always debate back and forth. Do I do face silhouette early or later? And like, because it's useful for relative positioning of other face pieces, but it's also really, really bad to do right without the other face pieces. Like, I kind of need the relative positioning for it rather than vice versa. It's funny. Okay, let's see. A little more curve. There we go. I get like a little bit going on. Ow. Wrong details a confusing face do make. And it's not that they're not there, it's just that they're not really symbolically focused on, so it's probably weird to include them. Yeah, like that right there, that's going to make them look super old immediately. Even though it's there. It's not wrong. Same with this. That line is there, but we don't want to include it right now. And that's smooth. Honestly, yeah, like almost an S curve is what's needed there. Let's see, we've got collar really just runs into it there. Like this is obviously like a little too far. There, we got that going there. Overall curve of hair is off. Needs to be one smooth curve. There we go. Shouldn't really alternate back and forth on that. That makes it harder to actually like, whoops. There we go. A silly solution, but it works. That's on the other layer, isn't it? Okay. Well, let's see. Really don't need much texture in the overall head shape. Nope. Put my hand back in the wrong place. Do that a lot. Okay. And I mean, look, here's the thing. Is this a perfect illustration? No, of course not. But it was 5 minutes and it's recognizable. And that's sort of like trying to figure out which features are important to focus on to make something recognizable is the really hard part with stinking faces. Because, I mean, I guess you could do like rosy cheeks to represent some of that, although that one's in the wrong place. It really need to be somewhere over there. Once again, face is not centered on head. That's fine. But adding like these details makes you look old. It's not the right ones to focus on. Adding like these curve lines doesn't work. Makes you look like apparently Peter Griffin. Like, yeah, there's just lots of little things in there where it's like pitfalls with low detail, and I'm trying to figure out where to focus. So that has sort of been my goal with some of these other illustrations, is with fast faces. I've been doing a lot of practice in my free time, and some will continue to practice. There we go. Because, like, the benefit, again, with Miquella is we've got more freedom to build it ourselves. But we also need to keep in mind, like, what does this age look like? Because it really doesn't usually have the sharp faces like this. You're going to get something more rounded. So, looking at references and being able to build off of those without trying to literally replicate them is probably going to be the key to actually getting Miquella's face done. But, until we bother with that, we're going to just have to simply build off of this one. Which, honestly, I don't hate this silhouette. We've got a lot to work with here. The other key challenge with this one, before we wrap up, just the final note. So one of them is figuring out the right details to include in order to make this look like the right age. The other one is to figure out the right details to include to make it fit the rest of the drawing. So let's see. In the rough sketch, we've got face rough for hair placement. I don't think we even literally have a face folder yet. We've been super hesitant about any of this. Boop. Let's create folder and insert layer. Face. Hair rough. I'll go ahead and put that in face, even though it's not literally face. It probably ought to be over the other one. Well, we won't mess with that one. The point being, if I throw another thing in here, like, we can totally do a face right here, right now, that, like, will look proportionally reasonable. Well, proportionally reasonable. But that's clearly the wrong level of detail for the rest of this drawing, right? Like, that doesn't fit. That would fit some characters, like if we had, like, a cute little cartoony dude. This face totally fits. It's great. Now he looks creepy. I don't... Now he looks like Miss Magius or something. I don't know. Point is, figuring out the right level of detail for the age and the right level of detail for the rest of this drawing is the challenge. And given that this is more in my style of heavier detail, it's going to make the face tougher too. Because heavy detail faces increase the odds of including the wrong ones for what you're trying to do. Obviously, if you're doing like a full-on, like, almost photorealistic sketch, then, like, include everything. Yeah, obviously. But it's when you're trying to get the right level for a non-literal depiction of a face that makes things interesting. So that's what we'll deal with more tomorrow. We don't have any more time today, unfortunately. I spent way more time on that face rough than I wanted to. That's okay. Looking back, we got Sifmir, and we've got an Olivine with a surprisingly green color palette. Or blue. I mean, green was the goal. Surprisingly blue color palette. I don't know if... Yeah, that kind of helps. Putting the shading under the colors makes it too faint, I think. Dropping the values isn't going to do anything. Yeah, I don't know, ended up a lot brighter than I expected. There's a lot more of that sort of soft white than I'd originally planned, which I don't hate. But it does make me think that we may still be tweaking this design a little bit, because I think some of it washes together. Main thing would be potentially this sleeve and then the decor on this cloak. Would be the things I would consider changing. I'd probably change them to match this, honestly. We're on color C, right? Maybe we would do this, just to get a glance. No, that still has kind of the speckled issue. Whoops. The problem with the design, to an extent, and less so before the colors, is that we end up with bold stuff in kind of the wrong, like bold contrasts in the wrong places. Like, it's very possible that this ought to also be green, and just like a darker green. Like, have different values of green in there. In fact, shouldn't that look more oh, right. Ah, okay. You know what? Maybe we do need to make this more faint. Because now it doesn't have the dissonance, the problem being it looks super muted. And that's what I'm trying to solve, is how do I make sure the colors don't look too bland. But actually, like, this doesn't look bad. We could go back to like 70 or something. We've still got a fair bit of color going in there, but the hyper contrast isn't nearly such a big issue. The bright whites are actually distinctly bright whites as opposed to the more muted ones. Same for greens. Yeah, that's better. I'd forgotten that step. You know, I mean, we can drop it way light, but I don't think that's the right call. 70 always seems to be like a reasonable spot, but it also always feels like a compromise. And that's literally what we did here too. Like, if we go to 100, that looks aggressively bold. If we go here, that looks washed out and sad. 70's not bad. Okay, well, I think that's where we're going to leave it for tonight. Thank y'all for jumping on the stream. I appreciate your patience with my having to jump off a few times. And the fact that the second half of this was mostly set up for next time. But I think it's worthwhile setup. So I hope that we'll see y'all on the flip side when we actually get back to Miquella. Now that's been a while. Y'all have a good one. Morning, afternoon, evening, night, whenever it may be. I hope it's good. Bye.